The Bad Batch, Season 3, Episodes 6 and 7. We are on another 2-episode release for this season, and I think it is a lot better that we are on these 2-episode releases or 3-episode releases like the premiere, because I just think it works better for this show. The format of like 23 minutes or whatever for this show every single week is just miserable, because this show runs so slowly. They take forever to get to the point, and whenever they get like big things that happen, it usually takes them a few episodes. We've already had a few filler episodes. These 2 episodes, though, are probably the 2 best of the season so far. It just felt like classic Clone Wars type of show, and it's always a good thing, I guess. But it also just felt like Clone Wars. It didn't really feel like the Bad Batch, actually. It just felt like Clone Wars. So let's get into it. Episode 6, Infiltration. So we started off with Captain Rex. You can tell it's Captain Rex. He's already there in his like robes again, kind of covered up. We've seen him in this previously in this show. And we're finally seeing him this season with him and Senator Singh, I believe that's his name. He's been in some previous episodes. I don't remember much about him. He pops up from time to time. I think the Bad Batch had to save him like once or twice. But there he is with Senator Singh, and they're entering this bar area, and it's very secure. Rex has got a bunch of clones in different areas also, set up and kind of guarding the area. And then when the senator enters the room, you got Senator Chuchi in there, and she is from the Clone Wars. She's been on a few episodes of the Bad Batch. She was in some of those episodes with the Bad Batch, like last season with like Palpatine in it, where he like declared the stormtroopers in production and stuff, I believe. And she's starting to feel sympathetic towards the clones. Now she is continuing her work with the clones, and it seems to be very secretive, and she's trying to work towards, helping the clones against the Empire, and it's this slow build to a rebellion, I guess. I guess that's what they're trying to do. But she meets with him. It's basically that they're both worried about the Emperor and what he might do to certain planets and the people if they find out. And you got to play these things carefully. The Emperor can't just flat out attack them, because he'll lose the public image. Whatever, just that type of stuff. While they're talking, they are actually ambushed by a clone special trooper who's been like brainwashed and like fully brainwashed to do like special things and force, like a special force. And they get ambushed by him. They capture this clone. It's not really like a known clone. It's just like a random clone, but he has been like brainwashed. And Captain Rex and Hauser is with him. So he's from like season 1, or I think it was season 1, where they were on Ryloth. And he's the one who stood up. He's like one of the first clones in this show who stood up against the Empire. He's now with Rex. He's one of the clones with Rex. There's lots of different clones with Rex. And they interrogate this guy that they've captured, and he's not really cooperative. So they capture this guy who does attack them, tries to take out Senator Singh, but they capture him. He will not talk, and he is now kind of just sitting there. They have him captive, they have him prisoner, but he's not really talking at all. So they have questions, and they don't really know what else to do. And they think, okay, there's still someone out there who could give them some answers, and that is the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch, they have now got Crosshair with them. And the little chip tracker thing that the guy had, the special trooper had, that he was going after Senator Singh, he also had a thing to go after Omega, because the Empire is after Omega, because she is very special for them now. Something to do with her blood and the M count and all that stuff. She's now become more important than ever. That's kind of how it's starting to go with Omega. So she is also on the Empire's radar from Hemlock. So because their special informant has gone unknown, and they don't know what happened to him, probably got captured, and they want to take him out now. So the Empire has now sent another informant there on the right. He looks exactly the same. He's got the same exact armor and everything. Looks kind of cool, I guess. But they send another informant to go and deal with him, so that he doesn't really speak or anything in that nature. So they send another informant out, and they have ways of tracking them, even though they think they took out all the trackers from that guy. So the Bad Batch arrive. You can see Hauser there with Captain Rex. Cool to see Captain Rex, it always is. Even though the show's been up, it's had its ups and downs, it's always good to see Rex. I've always liked Rex, and just glad we're seeing him again. So Echo does bring them there, and before that he gives Omega a weapon, and then Echo is actually going to go head off and pick up Gregor, I believe. He'll come back later. He will come back later. That is his plan. He's going to go get Gregor real quick and just get everyone together in one place. So he's going to go get Gregor, and they leave the Bad Batch there to get updated from Captain Rex to figure out what's all going on. Because I mentioned that these special troopers, they have ways of tracking that they are unaware of. This special trooper has found his way to this hidden clone base right now with Rex and Hauser. So he has already found his way there. He lands on the planet and he discovers the base. He sees some ships going and landing. So he's on his way. So the Bad Batch enter the base. They're, communicating with Rex and Hauser is very cautious of Crosshair because Crosshair is the one who took out his squad on Ryloth, because Crosshair at the time was there on Ryloth and he was the one taking out the clones and dealing with the clones that were disobedient to the Empire. So him and Hauser are not, they are at odds, pretty reasonably so. And while they're regathering, Rex brings up the whole thing of that Omega is also part of the Empire's search. And they're like, oh, of course, of course Omega is going to be part of their search. They're kind of like, yeah, we kind of expected that. But they also do bring up the point, actually Crosshair brings up the point because he's aware of some of this stuff because he was there on the actual facility and he was hearing things and learning things and whatnot, is that whatever they have to do there, it's got something to do with M count. And Omega also brings it up, they're dealing with her blood and the M count and the testing and the DNA testing, and they keep saying the phrase M count. And I've heard in different videos and stuff online, I've heard people mention that it does seem like the Bad Batch is afraid to say, along with the Mandalorian, by the way, anything that's been recent with Disney Star Wars, they're afraid to say midichlorian, which is what M count would be. Because it's quite clear that's what they're trying to do with the Force and stuff with Palpatine. It's very clear that that's what they're trying to reference and that's what they're doing here with all this cloning stuff. But they keep saying M count instead of midichlorian. They're very, very cautious of using the word midichlorian, and I think it's really, really silly. I know some people didn't like the midichlorian stuff in the prequels. Obviously that was, I think, a controversial thing from what I've heard. I don't really mind it. It is what it is. It's something that I like the prequels, and I think I just don't have a big issue with it. It is what it is. Midichlorians, it's just the way that they test and see how force sensitive someone is, and I don't have any issues with it. But it seems like Disney Star Wars is very hesitant to say the actual word, even though they're using the concept. So the special informative for the Empire, he makes his way onto the base. He sneaks his way on, and once he gets in, he searches the area and he realizes that there is even a bigger prize there than just taking out that trooper who had gotten captured. It is Omega is there as well, and the Empire's biggest prize right now is Omega. So he realizes Omega's there. He contacts the Empire. Girl is here too for Hemlock, and it becomes a much different mission for this specific trooper. And I will say there is a lot of focus on this trooper here, and it's very strange because we never really find out who it is, but there's a lot of focus on this trooper, and I think we will find out at some point. But I think this specific special trooper here, who's been conditioned and whatnot, I think it is someone we know. I don't know who it's going to be, but I do think it is somebody we're going to know. So once Crosshair enters the room and they go to interrogate the captured trooper, the clone trooper that Rex had captured, once they go to interrogate him, he's finally interested in some way with Crosshair in the room. And this brings up this really weird scene with Crosshair where it's him and this clone trooper, and there seems to be some sort of thing that we don't know about yet in some way, where it's Crosshair is very uneasy around this clone trooper, and this clone trooper's like, well, if you want answers, why don't you ask this guy right here? And he points to Crosshair. And it's what's going on with Crosshair? Is he still weirdly loyal to the Empire, or is there some weird conditioning or whatnot that they did to Crosshair that we're unaware of? Or is it just like, he was part of the Empire just recently and now he's not, and this trooper still thinks, oh yeah, look at that. Look at the Crosshair right there. Why don't you ask him? He's a traitor. Something like that. That's my assumptions. I don't really know what to make of it just yet. We all know that I just don't think they would undo Crosshair's development to joining back with the Bad Batch. I think it's more just like he was with the Empire, now he's not, and he's had his demons there with the Empire. He obviously did things with the Empire that he, seemingly regrets, and I think it's just his progression towards getting back with his old crew. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, but who knows? It could maybe mean something later on. But Crosshair, when he entered the room, he seemed very uneasy, like right away. So perhaps he has experience with this specific group of clones that has been brainwashed and conditioned, because he did mention that he knew about them. So this informant, when he's inside the other one that was sent to, kill the other informant that got captured, he sets up a bunch of bombs around the area and he blows up the facility. He destroys the facility, causes a bunch of chaos, kills clones, and a major explosion happens here. Flamethrower actually sets off one of his grenades and actually blows up the entire area. So it destroys the facility quite well, so they have to evacuate. A bunch of clones die, and the end scene for the episode, while the clones and Rex and all of them are escaping this crumbling building, there is another clone on his way. The Empire is on their way. You got the clone commanders there, but you also have Commander Wolf from the Clone Wars. So we have not seen Wolf in the Bad Batch yet. He was in Star Wars Rebels, so it made sense that they're building towards Wolf. And they ended the episode with Commander Wolf. He is ready to drop in and deal with the clone force that they're dealing with. And it doesn't seem like he is aware yet that it is a bunch of clones that he's going to go deal with. But he is heading down to go deal with this issue that they've been sent on. And that's how the episode ends. Episode 7 of season 3 of the Bad Batch, Extraction. It just basically continues the last episode. So this is kind of why it's 2 episodes this week, because it's literally one big episode, like directly one after the other. So this informant guy, he's still there. He's kind of going rogue a little bit. While the Empire's there and Wolf is coming down with this bunch of clone troopers, he's still there, just kind of running around, chasing after the Bad Batch and Rex and all them on his own. And once he meets up with, Wolf and everything, he still seems like disobedient. He wants to go after the Bad Batch on his own. It's weird how much focus this one random informant got, but he got a lot of focus in these 2 episodes. So the Bad Batch, they're, trying to escape the area with Rex and Hauser in them, and they're going through the tunnels and whatnot. You got the interactions with Wolf and that informant with the clone commando there behind him. And this is where Wolf starts to realize that there is clones, that they're dealing with clones here. And it's like, what's going on here? These are brothers. And you start to already see that turn of like, Wolf, it's like, what's going on? Like, I didn't realize we were going to come down here and be fighting a bunch of clones. So that informant that initially contacted the Empire to bring them there, it's so strange. Like, there is so much focus on him, but he kind of goes off on his own. The Empire is chasing after the Bad Batch. The informant himself is single-handedly going after the specific crew of Rex and the Bad Batch, and Crosshair takes him on a little bit. And he almost kills the informant, but the informant actually gets away. It's like this big tunnel area, and he actually falls down, but narrowly escapes, because Crosshair is just not as good as he used to be because of his hand shaking. So that is something that has not been really explored yet, is Crosshair's hand is shaking, and we don't really know what that really means yet. It's just maybe because of all the testing they did on him or whatnot. I don't really know, but him with his hand shaking has made him unsteady, meaning Crosshair is not as good as he used to be. So the informant does survive Crosshair's attack and is still out there chasing them, but he does get him away for the moment, so they're able to escape from him, but he is still there. They escape on their big escape pod ship, but they don't escape for long, because this Imperial clone informant that has been chasing after them the whole 2 episodes now, he shoots down the ship, and it goes crashing into the forest there as he watches. So the Empire is quite clearly seen that the ship is shot down and they're going to go chase after it. But the informant guy, he goes back to Wolf, and Wolf and the informant guy here, we don't even know who he is. Like, I think it's a clone, clearly, but we don't know if it's someone we know or not. But there's so much focus on him. It is strange. It is very strange. But him and Wolf are at odds because, Wolf wants to know, what squad are you from? Why are you doing all this stuff on your own, not, listening to command and whatnot? Because Wolf is kind of the one in command here. He is the one in charge for now. And they're at odds, and they go after Rex and the gang. So you got Hauser there, you got Rex, the Bad Batch, Omega, whatever. They all crash down, but of course they're going to live because, they're going to live. It is the show, of course. They're not going to kill them all. So they all get out, they escape, and the informant drops down first. Shortly after they escape their pod, and he's going to go after them specifically. So he kind of walks off on his own while the Empire themselves stick together and, try to track down the Bad Batch. So the Empire does get the drop on the Bad Batch for a moment, but they are able to kind of get away for a quick moment where Wrecker throws some smoke grenades and it, blinds the area. They escape. They exchange some fire, but they do manage to escape there. And I don't think anyone's really harmed in that moment. But as, all the fighting is going on, Crosshair is once again dealing with the informant clone that is going after them this whole episode. And he is dealing with them. He, tussles with them. He shoots at him a few times. It's this little battle back and forth between Crosshair and this informant. And they end up at this big waterfall. And it's very strange. It's like this coming moment where it's like Crosshair finally fighting up against the Empire. And it's like realizing this is where I'm at now. And I am with my brothers again. And I'm going to fight this guy that I'm aware of. This group of people that I used to be, working with the Empire. Now I'm going to fight against him and, be with my brothers again with the Bad Batch. And that's kind of what I saw it as. But it's also like weird because this specific guy that Crosshair is fighting, it's weird because I feel like we're supposed to know who this is, and they keep teasing him. They show him so much, and they don't really tell us, but he almost kills Crosshair. But the boys get back up with him. They catch back up with him and take him out and knock him down the waterfall while they rescue Crosshair before he is killed. And they rescue Crosshair. So the informant is thrown over the waterfall, and they head back up to get confronted by the Empire again with Wolf. So Wolf, when they get confronted, he realizes these are clones, and that's Captain Rex. I am facing Captain Rex. So Captain Rex, he does the basic, we are clones and we're not supposed to serve the Empire. We're doing good and we got to stop the Empire thing. It's his like convincing all the clones type of speech to get them to, turn against the Empire, join us, help start this rebellion against the Empire and the clones. And Wolf actually does hesitate. And I knew he would at some point. I didn't know if he would now, but with the whole Star Wars Rebels thing, I knew they would end up having Wolf eventually join them. I think he will join them later in the show too. But Wolf does actually let them go. He does let them go and escape on Echo's ship that does return with Gregor. They do escape on Echo's ship, and Wolf lets them go. And I'm actually surprised that he just kind of walked it off after, like, yeah, whatever, they're clones. We can't take them in. We're going to let them go because they're clones. They're like one of us. But they're serving the Empire. I'm very surprised all the clones, not a single one, stepped up and maybe tried to go after them. The show is making it quite clear now that the clones are starting to very much feel more obedient towards other clones. They feel more loyal to other clones than they are to the Empire. And that is obviously going to be the big issue here with Palpatine. It's like he doesn't want these clones anymore. These clones are an issue. We've got to get the Stormtroopers in. We did get one more shot with the informant guy who is climbing out of the water. And the fact that they even showed him one more time here at the end, surviving, just tells me this is going to be someone important to the show. And I could see it maybe perhaps being Tech. I don't know if it's like Tech with his mind scrambled or not. I just feel like it's going to be someone we know. And people are always theorizing whenever someone dies that it could be them who survived. Like Tech, maybe he's alive. We didn't see a body. Maybe it's Tech. I don't think it's Tech. But who knows at this point? They keep showing them like we're supposed to know who it is. Maybe it is. It just didn't feel like Tech's character. But again, if the Empire did something to him, maybe it is. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it's just someone random that like Crosshair knew. It's like a guy he worked with and trained with and whatnot. And it's just someone that Crosshair knew, and now he's kind of the guy after them as well with the Empire. But I do feel like it's going to be someone we know. The last scene is Rex and Hunter talking about Omega, because Omega is on the Empire's watch list. And they got to figure out what the hell is going on, why Omega is so important to the Empire, now more than ever. So that's how the episode ends. The Bad Batch, the whole episode is basically the realization that, Omega is more important than ever. They destroyed the clones' hiding space with Rex, so they no longer have their little base. They got this new informant group after them, and they're realizing that Omega, again, is just super, super important to the Empire. And Crosshair is also, getting his moments to shine here in these episodes, joining his brothers again and just kind of earning his place. It feels like earning his place again after, his fiasco with the Empire and chasing down the Bad Batch. It's over. He's with his brothers again, and I don't think he's going to be going back with the Empire. I really don't. So, again, I had a lot to say with this episode, these last two episodes. These two episodes felt like the best one of the season. I've had issues with the Bad Batch, Disney Star Wars in general. I just haven't been too fond of lately, I will say. But with these two specific episodes, I think they were decent. I really do. They should have more episodes like this. It progresses the story along a little bit more than like an episode with Omega and Crosshair doing almost nothing all episode. We had that this season, and it's just like, what the hell was that? And like that other episode too this season where it had like the young clones, like we didn't need that stuff. This feels a little more important. We got all the important characters, the important storylines, and it's good to see that. So we'll see what happens next week, with Omega and the M count instead of midichlorian. It's all leading to the sequels. I've kind of accepted that already. It's kind of the stuff they're doing with Palpatine. But we'll see where it goes, man. I don't know. The Bad Batch hasn't been terrible. It's just been very slow at points, and it hasn't been the great Clone Wars sequel that I wanted it to be. But it's had its ups and downs, and this week was okay. It was an okay release for the Bad Batch this week, and I had a good time watching it. I think I had a good time watching it. Again, I am pretty invested in Crosshair's story more than anybody else.